Yeah, when I open the slide, somebody asked to admit request. So you have to be before, na? You have 1 hour time between the classes. Okay, you can see the slide.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
you know him. He is the Heisenberg, Werner Heisenberg. Okay, so he is the German scientist. So he has given some principle regarding the wave particle duality. Okay, so you can see the two concepts. One is microscopically, one is microscopically. So macroscopically, already we have discussed about the classical mechanics. But coming to the microscopically, it is a quantum mechanics. So what he has done that, okay, we can say the particle behaves like a wave or a wave behaves as a particle. Just we have seen the previous classes, some experimental verification regarding that one. Okay, and you have the formulas for that, that is photoelectric effect and Compton effect. Okay, and you also study the de Broglie's, that is wave particle duality. Phenomenon. Okay, so these are very useful for the applications in many fields. Okay, so later I'll show how this quantum mechanics is useful for in all aspects, isn't it? So at the end of the chapter I may come, so how can we use that one in different fields, right? So coming to here, we assume to be that, okay, so wave particle duality, so we assume that it is a what is that we call it as a quanta is nothing but it is the superposition of individual waves, isn't it? So you have wave packets in that one. Is a quanta is nothing but wave packet. So what this wave packet represents, that inside there are so many particles, so some they have the different positions, isn't it? So what this uncertainty principle says, that certainty in position gives uncertainty in momentum. Certainty in position gives uncertainty in velocity. How this is called, and how can you say that there is some certainty and uncertainty, isn't it? So from the de Broglie hypothesis, we can say that electron can behave both as a particle and wave. So you have studied a number of formulas in that one. Okay, so here, this, because of this dual nature, you can't find the exact position or exact velocity or exact momentum. Why? Because the particle or inside the wave packet, okay, makes the collisions, isn't it, with other particles. You can't find, suppose if the wave particle is large, that means volume is more. Okay, so you can find the velocity. If the volume, if the wave packet is very small, okay, so that means less volume, you have more, you call it is unable to find the velocity of that particle inside that wave particle. So he has given some formulas, he has given some framed that one. So let us see what is that one. Here he says that it is very difficult to find the position and momentum of the electron simultaneously. You can't find simultaneously, isn't it? Okay, so this is called uncertainty. Uncertainty, and this difficulty is solved by Heisenberg. Okay, so by in the name him, you call it as Heisenberg uncertainty principle. So you can have here, let us have the classical mechanics, what it gives. So it is possible to predict exactly the position of particle and momentum of it. Then coming to the quantum mechanics, the particle is found to somewhere moves in a wave packet with some velocity. That velocity we named as is a group velocity, isn't it? So we have a group velocity, particle velocity, and we have other velocities depending upon the phenomenon what we have. Okay, now let us take two examples just now said now. The wave packet. Okay, so the particle is found to move somewhere in the wave packet, isn't it? The wave packet contains some particles. So how can you find the position, momentum, velocity energy, okay, and other parameters based on the Heisenberg. Now, let me take a simple example. You can understand that one. The first, if I take the wave packet, okay, so we can say here, so in quantum mechanics, we can say the velocity of a particle is called as group velocity. Now, in the first case, if you take, if the wave packet is very small, if the wave packet is very small, the position of the particle can be fixed. That means you can't find that one. Okay. So the prediction of position very easy. But since the wave packet is very small, it will move with a very high velocity, and hence the uncertainty is determining the velocity becomes high, isn't it? Now, if the wave packet is large, isn't it? The velocity can be easily find. Why? Because given the volume will be more. So you cannot predict the position of that particle. That means uncertainty ending the position of particle becomes very high. Okay, so these are the two best examples. This was given by framed by the Eisenberg uncertainty. So basically, what is a wave packet? What you call the wave packet? You can see here, the wave packet is nothing but superposition of many individual waves, each of different wavelength to form a single group of different amplitude, isn't it? That means the particle vibrates. The particle vibrates, we call it as it is associated with some wave. So that is given by de Broglie, that is wave particle duality. So within the wave packet, you can have the particles, isn't it? And they vibrate, isn't it? Because of the vibration, you get the wave nature of that one. Okay, so that is given explained by this Eisenberg. Okay, now coming to the phenomenon, what is the phenomenon you have here? So it is impossible to determine, okay, precisely and simultaneously the values of both members, that means position and momentum, okay, energy and time. So we have a certain pair of parameters. You can have later that one. Okay, so it is impossible to determine preciously and simultaneously the values of both members of pair of physical variables which describes the motion of a atomic system. So what are the physical variables? For example, you can see here x is represents the position, where p represents the momentum. And coming to the other physical variables, you have energy, isn't it? And time, you have energy, time. These are certain pair of variables, physical variables, isn't it? Right? And you can have the angular momentum and angle. These are the certain pair of physicals. So like that, we have a set of pairs that describes the physical variables of the atomic system, isn't it? Okay, so one is position, momentum, energy, time, and angular momentum and angle, isn't it? So these are some physical variables, isn't it? So we can say that delta x is the uncertainty in determining the position, and if delta p is the uncertainty in determining the momentum. So these uncertainties can be written as here delta x, it is nothing but uncertainty in position, and this is called uncertainty momentum, which is approximately is equal to Planck's constant. Okay, or you can write h by 2 pi. In some books we can have h by 2 pi, which is approximately or greater than or equal to, isn't it? So this is called uncertainty principle, right? Okay, so you don't mind this determination of position of a particle by gamma rays microscope, so you need not to know this one. So the other, you can have the other concepts. Okay. Now coming to the Schrodinger, very famous and eminent scientist. Schrodinger time dependent and independent wave equation. Schrodinger wave equation, right? So let me have give the both. You can have an idea. So in your syllabus, we have only Schrodinger time independent equation. But come, you have to have some idea about the dependent equation. So what is the difference between the dependent and independent time wave equations? So let me have, you can see the scientist Erwin Schrodinger. Okay, so he has framed the Schrodinger wave equation. So we have two types of equation just now, time dependent and time independent wave equation. So let me have the simple derivation, very simple derivation, but we have to know what is this. This is nothing but wave function. Xi we call it as. So let me have the first time dependent equations. Please copy everyone. The simplest one. Okay. So here, let us have a particle, so which behave as a wave under motion. Okay, so it can be accelerated by a potential, so and it also possess some energy. Okay, so let us have the basic generalized equation, that is the total energy of a particle is equal to the sum of potential energy and kinetic energy, that you know. E is equal to, okay, Pe plus Ke. So Pe nothing but potential energy, Ke is nothing but kinetic energy. So let us have the basic generalized equation, that is E is equal to V plus of mv square. Okay, so how can you write here? E is equal to V plus of dividing and multiplying, okay, with m. So what you get here, m square v square by m. So what you call mv is nothing but here momentum. So how can you write? It becomes p square. So we can write E is equal to v plus p square by 2m. Okay, now, so what you have to put some operator. So Schrodinger has given some operator that is called wave function. We call this Xi. It is nothing but wave function. So how can you write? E is equal to, that is multiplying on each and every term for LHS and RHS. So we can become E Xi is equal to V Xi plus P square 2 by into Xi. Make it equation 1. Please copy all of you, everyone. Okay. So this is time dependent wave equation. Okay, now let us go the next slide. Please make it fast to copy. Right, so according to classical mechanics, if x is the position of a particle moving with a velocity v, then what is the displacement of a particle at any time is given by, we can have a equation. This is a wave equation. We are considering the wave equation. The displacement is y is equal to a into e to the power of minus I omega into t minus x by v, where a is nothing but amplitude. A is represented amplitude, where omega represents angular frequency, which is 2 pi by lambda. Okay, so t is nothing but at particular time, a is nothing but position, and v is the velocity of the particle. So this is the description of the given formula. Okay, so here, coming to the quantum mechanics, the wave function, it is very important. The wave function is nothing but which characterize the particle wave duality. The wave function, we have additional function, wave function. So in the upcoming topic, we have significance of wave function is more important one. So Schrodinger has used this notation, that is wave function. So what is a wave function come later. Okay, so coming to the quantum mechanics, wave function having the three axes, that is x, y, z, with respect to time, represents the position, that is x, y, z, of a moving particle at a time t, and it is given by, okay, so we can write the equation like this, a into e to, this is according to quantum mechanics, this is according to classical mechanics. So the additional what we have is, this is the wave function. Okay, this is a wave function. This is a position we represents at a time t. So what it becomes simple, it becomes equation 2. Okay, so what is here? Same, 2 pi rho becomes 2 pi by lambda. Okay, use the same equation. Now, so we have a both equation according to classical mechanics and according to quantum mechanics. Now, how can you write equation 2? Isn't it? Let me have equation 2. So we can write here xi is equal to a into e to the power of minus omega. Omega is nothing but 2 pi. Okay, 2 pi by mu. So your mu is multiplied in this term. So you got equation 3. Just simply instead of omega, what you have substituted is this one. This is one, right? Now we know that E is equal to h mu, isn't it? Or mu is equal to E by h. It becomes 4 equation. Okay. Now if, okay, small v is the velocity of, please don't get confusion. This is mu. This is small v. So v is the velocity of the particle behave as a wave. Then the frequency, how you write the frequency in terms of velocity, isn't it? Basically, we have a c here, isn't it? Just we are making the notation small v. So mu is equal to c by lambda. Already we have know that, but instead of c, we are writing small v, or we can write, isn't it? Okay, mu by v is equal to 1 by lambda becomes equation 5. So substituting equation 4, the value of mu, and 5 in equation 3, isn't it? This value. So what you get here, this value, you have to substitute here. So what it becomes, 2 pi by I into E by h t minus x by lambda. Okay, simply you're substituting the equations in equation 3. Why? Because this according to quantum mechanics, isn't it? So it becomes equation 6, isn't it? Now, if P is the momentum of the particle, then de Broglie wavelength in terms of momentum, what is the formula? Lambda is equal to h by p. This is according to de Broglie, isn't it? De Broglie wavelength in terms of momentum, that is h by p. So substituting equation 7 here in equation 6, this one, substituting lambda, value is nothing but h by p. Okay, so what it becomes, let me see, all of you copy this. Okay, let us go for the next. Right, so this is what you got, isn't it? This is the equation what you got. So finally what you got, xi is equal to xi of x comma y comma z comma t is equal to a into e to the power of minus 2 pi I h. Why? Because already in terms of momentum, so it becomes et. So taking h common, et minus p into x. Okay, now we can have the, this is called h bar or h cut. So we use the term h bar or h cut. Okay, so h bar is equal to h by 2 pi. Okay, this is the most common we use in the quantum mechanics, isn't it? That is h bar is equal to h by 2 pi. So instead of h by 2 pi, you replace by h bar. So what it becomes, xi of x comma y comma z comma t is equal to a into e to the power of minus I by h bar into et minus px. Okay, so this is the eighth equation you got. Okay, simply this all substitution, getting the uh, previous formulas and just substituting in a given order. Okay, you get the time dependent equation. Now what happens, differentiate equation 8 with respect to x twice, isn't it? Once you have differentiated, you got this equation. Then next, once again you differentiate it, isn't it? You get do square by xi by do x square is equal to a into e to the power of minus I by h bar into et minus px. That is I square p square by h bar into e to the power of minus I by h bar into et minus px. now x equal to a into e to the power of minus h, and I square is equal to minus 1. So we can write this equation. Finally, you got do square xi by do x square is equal to xi into x comma y comma z comma t into minus p square by h bar square. Okay, so this is the equation you got. Please note it down, this one. So differentiating equation 8 twice, isn't it? And making some condition. We know that I square is equal to minus 1. You substitute that one. Okay. Okay. Let us move to the next. Now, what it becomes? P square xi is equal to minus h cut square into d square by, this becomes equation 9. Okay. Just simply rearranging this one. Okay. So what is here? Again, differentiating 8 partially with respect to t, we get, isn't it? This equation you get with respect to t. Previously, you have differentiate with respect to position of the particle, right? Now you are at any time t, isn't it? So you get, this is the equation you got. Okay. Now what you have here, already we have briefly describes here. This is the equation what you have. So same here, isn't it? So replacing here. So finally you get here E into xi is equal to I h bar into do xi by du t. Okay. So this is other expression you got, equation 10. Okay. Now substituting equation 9 and 10 in equation 1, you got this value and this value. You substitute what is equation 1, you got this one. You got E into xi, you got this expression. Okay. And you got this expression. You substitute the both values in equation 1. So finally what you get? Okay. So what you get? I h bar do xi by du t is equal to v into xi. You got this equation. So finally, what is the equation? You got 11. Okay. This is the 11 equation 1. You got Schrodinger time dependent. Okay. So this is the Schrodinger time dependent equation in one dimensional along x axis. Why? Because we are using x term here. If it is y term, we can have along y axis. If it is z, along the z axis. But it is only we have defined for Schrodinger time dependent equation along x direction. Now how can you write this in three-dimensional equations? Just putting here delta. Okay. Now how can we try it here? See here. So equation 11 gives Schrodinger time dependent equation. Okay. So it depends upon the position. So similarly, we can write three-dimensional equation. So what is the difference? Is nothing but I into h bar, isn't it? Du xi by du t is equal to v minus h bar square minus by 2m into delta square. So what is the delta you have here? See here. We have a three-dimensional. So do square by do x square plus do square by do y square plus do square by do z square. Okay. Instead of writing all this, you put just del square here. Okay. So this is the Schrodinger time dependent equation in three-dimensional. Okay. So equation 8 also can be written as in the operator, isn't it? So E xi is equal to h xi. H is nothing but Hamiltonian operator. So what is the value of Hamiltonian operator? So that is, it becomes this term which is in the bracket. This becomes the Hamiltonian operator, and this becomes E. Okay. So what is the value of E? This becomes the E value. Okay. So this is the most what you have to get idea. Now it is very easy to have time independent equation. So making use of this equation, you can have the time independent equation. So let us see that one, a few steps now. So you can have a Schrodinger time independent wave equation. Okay. So coming to the first, the time, let us have note it down. So the time dependent wave equation, the first equation what you have here. Okay, so this is most important. Yeah, not this one. Yeah, this is the equation what you have taken. Right, this is the equation what you have taken, equation 8, isn't it? So let us assume that, right? So splitting the RHS, this one, splitting the RHS into two parts. Okay, so one is time dependent factor and other is time independent factor. So how can you write that one? So putting LHS same, so splitting this right hand side into two parts, that is A into, isn't it, A into e to the power of I minus I by h bar et into e to the power of, and this term, isn't it, splitting into two factors. One is dependent of time factor, one is independent of time factor. Okay, so this can be write as only RHS, that is A into xi into e to the power of minus, putting this is a common. So you are not changing the dependent of time, you are changing to independent of time. Okay, so you putting xi is equal to, you make it equation 1 here, right? Okay, now where xi represents the time independent wave equation, isn't it? There you can have time dependent, isn't it? So what is the value for this one? I e to the power of I px by h bar. So keep it in mind, this is the wave function for the time independent equation. Yeah, sorry, time independent wave equation. Now here differentiating this equation. Okay, once with time you got equation 1, and again differentiating equation 1 thrice, isn't it, you got equation 3. So this is with respect to t, this is with respect to position. Now the Schrodinger time independent wave equation, that is one dimensional, can be written as this one. Okay, same similarly you can have v minus is equal to h into d square by dx square. So this is the one dimensional Schrodinger time along the x direction, isn't it? Okay, now let me have the three dimensional. Okay, so substituting equation 1 2 3 in equation 4. Okay, so this is substituting equation 1 2 3 and equation 4. So what is equation 1? This is one first equation, this is the second equation, and this is the third equation, and substituting all in equation 4. Okay, so after simplification, right, rearranging the terms, so finally you got here, this is the equation what you got, that is do square xi by do x square is equal to minus 2m by h bar square into E minus I minus V minus I, where this is the potential and this is the energy, what we call it as. Okay, right? Now coming to the final, so you can write here one dimensional, that is along the x direction. So do square xi by do x square plus 2m by h square into E minus V into taking xi as a common. This is the most important equation, that is fifth one, isn't it? Schrodinger time independent equation. So how can you write in three dimensional, putting this as a delta, delta square into xi plus 2m, all will be the same terms. Instead of do square xi by do x square, you have to change del square. Okay, so this is about the time independent, Schrodinger time independent wave equation, isn't it? Now for a free particle the potential is zero, you can say the potential energy is zero. Okay, so putting v is equal to 0, so how can you write the equation for a one dimensional? Just put v is equal to 0, so you got this equation. In three dimensional this is the equation. So they may ask in the objective type questions, if a for a free particle write the Schrodinger time independent equation in three dimensional or one dimensional, so you have to put it in mind, isn't it? So for a free particle v is equal to 0, that's all. Okay, so this is the equation for time dependent equation. So this is the time dependent equation, isn't it? Keep it in mind. This is time dependent equation. So time independent equation, you can have this one. Okay. So this is about the storing the wave equations. I think somebody is waiting. Nobody is there, no? Right. So let me show some. Okay. So what you have seen the video is regarding the particle, wave, and quantum nature. So you can see the how the generation of the quantum packets, the wave packets, isn't it? So it's the best understanding how the wave particle duality exists, isn't it? Now let me proceed for the simple last one. So this is also a derivation. Yeah, that is what is the significance of wave function? Just now we have the xi. So what it gives general. So wave function is nothing but it is a variable quantity that is associated with a moving particle at any position x, y, z and at any time t. And it gives the probability of finding a particle at that point at that time. So that is a physical meaning of wave function. Okay. So it is related nothing but probability of finding a particle at that point and at that time. So what you have used this one is, so this is the same expression we use for that one, isn't it? So what it gives here is that, so it gives the information about the particle behavior. The wave function gives the information about the particle behavior. Okay. So it is a complex quantity. So it individual has no meaning. It is also called complex conjugate, isn't it? So you can have the physical meaning of that one. Okay. Mod of xi square is equal to xi into, this is called modified. Okay. So we can have this concept similar to the light. So in light we have an amplitude. So how can you define the intensity, isn't it? So amplitude may be positive or negative. That can be square of the amplitude which gives the intensity, so which is called real and measurable. The same meaning is can be applicable for this wave function. Okay. Now you can have the intensity. and the amplitude, just like we have analogous in case of wave function, right? So we can have the probability of finding the particle is between the limits. What are the limits from 0 to 1? So let me take the three cases. That is, P is nothing but probability of finding a particle within the wave particle, the wave packet. Suppose P is equal to 0, that means there is no chance of finding the particle that is within the limits. If P is equal to 1, there is a 100% chance that finding a particle, okay, that means it definitely present somewhere else, isn't it, within that limits. If P is equal to zero point 0.5, that means 70% of finding the particle and 30% is there is no chance to find the particle. In some other, they have P is equal to zero point 0.5, that means 50% chances, 50-50, isn't it? So this P gives the probability, just for it is a theoretical finding the value, not the experimentally proved. Okay. Now you can have the one more equation, that is, if a particle is definitely present within a one dimensional, that is along the x direction of length L, then probability of finding the particle can be have limits from 0 to L. L is nothing but length of the one dimensional box. In next concept you are going to have. So this is most important we can have, that is mod of xi square to dx is equal to 1. So this is called normalization. Normalization we call this one. Okay. So what is most important? Now let me have the application of Schrodinger wave equation. So what is that application? We have nothing but finding a particle in one dimensional box, isn't it? Now let us assume this is a box, isn't it? Really there is no box in the material, isn't it? Just we are assuming some box, assumed to be box of length x. This is the length of the box, and this gives the potential of the uh, 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 but it's metal, isn't it? So what is giving the this diagram meaning of that one? So you're finding along the x-axis, isn't it? So we have a two potentials. So those are at x is equal to 0 at point, and x is equal to L. That is the length of the box. And you can have the potential here. V is nothing but potential. So we have a potential is at infinite. So these are infinite potential. That means high barriers exist. So if you drop an electron inside that one, so how it behaves? What are the properties of that electron? Let us find that one. That gives the application of Schrodinger wave equations. So we are assuming it is a one-dimensional box because x direction. We are finding only in x direction. In the same way, you can find for three-dimensional, that is x, y, z direction. If you understand the x direction, it is very easy to have x, y, and dependent equation, that is along the x-axis and three-dimensional. So if you understand the concept of in single direction, we can applicable for three-dimensional, isn't it? So let me have that one. Very simple. Now, so we can say that outside the box, this is the inner. Inside the box, this is called outside the box. You can see the dashed lines. So this is outside the box where potential is infinity, but potential inside the box is 0, assumed to be V is equal to 0. So how this electron behaves? That means the electron makes collisions with this barrier. So this is called elastic collision. So other electrons may be also present. So there is elastic collision. That means energy is conserved. So let us have that one. So let us consider a particle, that means electron of mass m along the x-axis. So enclosed in a one-dimensional box whose length is L. Okay. Now since the walls are at infinite potential, the particle does not penetrate out from the box. That is most important. Okay. Now here, if the particle is confined between the length of a box, so there are elastic collisions with the walls of the barrier. Okay. So what happens? The potential energy of the electron inside the box is constant, and can be taken as zero, isn't it? The potential energy inside the box is constant, but whereas kinetic energy will be maximum. Okay, so for the simplicity, let us that V is equal to 0. Now coming, we say that outside the box, okay, the potential of V of electron is infinite. Okay, now let us take the limits, isn't it? So we can write the boundary conditions. So let us have that for V is equal to 0, that is potential inside the box is 0, having the limits, that is x is less than L but greater than 0. That is the first boundary condition. And the second one, we can have V is equal to infinite, that means outside the box. So we can say x is greater than or equal to L but less than or equal to 0. So we have the two boundary conditions. Now here, since the particle cannot exist outside the box, then wave function, that is xi is equal to 0. So at what the limits, x is greater than 1 L and less than or equal to 0. That is a condition, isn't it? The wave function will be 0 inside the box within the limits, that x is greater than L or less than or equal to 0. Okay, now to find the wave function of the particle within the box of length L, so let us consider Schrodinger one dimensional time independent equation. So what is time independent equation, isn't it? That is along the x direction. We are choosing only x direction. So already we have the equation now. What is that? Do square xi by do x square plus 2m by h bar square into e minus b into xi is equal to 0. So this is the Schrodinger time independent equation along the x direction. So we are choosing the particle also in the x direction. So what happens, since the potential energy inside the box is 0, that means we assume to be 0. You put V is equal to 0. That is for a free electron. Okay, so it possesses only kinetic energy, that is potential energy is 0. Now what becomes for a free particle, the Schrodinger time independent wave equation can be written as, this is the equation what already we have. Okay, now putting some constant, that is k square, isn't it? What is k square? That is 2m e by h bar square. Just for simplification, for writing the equation as a simplicity, so we can have the other term, that is k square. Okay, now what happens? So equation 1 is a second order differential equation. Now let us find the solution for that one. Okay, the solution of equation 1 can be written as having some arbitrary constants. So what are those arbitrary constants? Xi of x is equal to a sine kx plus b cos kx. So we have a solution for equation 1. So let us find the value of these arbitrary constants. Let us find, that is value of a and value of b. Okay, now for this arbitrary constants, now let us apply the boundary conditions. So we have a boundary conditions. What are those? If v is equal to infinity, that is at when x is equal to 0 and at x is equal to L. Okay, so let me have that one here. So the boundary condition that at x is equal to 0, the potential energy V is equal to infinity. So there is a no chance of finding the particle at that walls of the box. So xi of x is equal to 0. Now put it xi is equal to 0 in equation 1. So you get B is equal to 0. Okay, very simple, isn't it? Putting xi of is equal to 0. Now B is equal to also 0. You can have that, isn't it? B is equal to infinity. So have that one. So what you get finally, value of B is equal to 0. But condition 2. So what is that condition? At x is equal to L, the potential energy is infinity. Okay. So there is a no chance of finding the particle at the walls of the box. That is phi of also is equal to 0. Now what happens? Equation 3 becomes 0 is equal to, okay, since, but there is a other condition, that from first boundary condition, that is since b is equal to 0, so we can have 0 is equal to a into sine k, putting b is equal to 0 here. So what you get, a is equal to sine of kl, but a cannot be 0. How? A cannot be 0. Why? Because here, since a is not equals to 0, sine kl is equal to 0. We know that Sine n pi is equal to 0. So how can you write that one? Comparing the both equations, that is n pi is equal to k into L, okay, where n is the integer. So you got the value of k, isn't it? You have the value of k, and also you have the, you make it equation 4. So what is the value of k? That is n pi by L. And what also you have the value of b, that is b is equal to 0. Put this both values in equation 3. What you get? Finally you get got this. What is the we can write the wave function associated with a free particle confined in one dimensional, that is in x direction only. So you got the equation 5, that is a into sine n into n pi 1 equation, where n is nothing but integer, isn't it? So these are most important equations, isn't it? So you got the arbitrary constants, isn't it? It is b is equal to 0. You got the value of k, isn't it? Okay. So what you get, the energy of the electron, that is particle. How can you write? We know that from equation 2. So what is the equation 2 you have here? This one. You have the energy. Energy term. Okay. Now why to find that one? You can have the clear idea here. K square is equal to 2me by h bar square, isn't it? So what can you write here? H bar, that is h by 2 pi. So when you square it, you can becomes h square by 4 pi square. You substitute in this one. So just for rearrange, you can have k square is equal to 8 pi square into me by h square. So this becomes the sixth equations. So squaring the equation 4, we get, what is the equation 4? Squaring k square is equal to n square pi square by l square, right? So what you got, putting at equation 7. Now equating 6 and equation 7, finally you get, that is 8 pi square me by h square is equal to n square pi square by l square. So this is the energy of the particle. So what it becomes? This is nth particle, energy of the electron, that is nth particle E is equal to n square h square by 8 m l square, becomes equation 8. So L also becomes A. In some books, they have, instead of length of the box, they have written A, isn't it? Don't bother about that one. That is L square. Okay. Now from equation 8 and from equation 5, what is equation 5? This one. From equation 8 and from equation 5. So for each value of n, there is an energy level and corresponding wave function. So how can you write? If n is equal to 1, so what it becomes? H square by 8 m l square. If n is equal to 2, what it becomes? H square by 4 m l square. Like that. For each value L, there is a corresponding wave function. For each value of L, what we call it as an eigenvalue, and the corresponding is called eigenfunction. Instead of wave function, we have right eigenfunction. Okay, so we have eigenvalue and eigenfunction. So how you got eigenvalue? For each value of n, there is a energy level. That energy level is called eigenvalue. For each eigenvalue, there is an eigenfunction, isn't it? So instead of wave function, we call it as a eigenfunction, isn't it? So let me have that one. So energy levels of the electron. So we can have, putting n is equal to 1 in equation 8, isn't it? We have first eigenfunction, that is E1 is equal to h square by. Instead of 2, you got 4E1. N is equal to 3, 9E1. N is equal to 4, you got 16E1. So how can you write the general equation? That is energy of the eigenfunction can be written as En is equal to n square of E1. So this is most important. So this most, for solving the problem, this is most important. So keep it in mind. So you remind, keep it in more here is that E1 is equal to h square by 8 m l square, isn't it? So this is called energy of the eigen function, isn't it? So we can say that the lowest energy value or a ground state energy can be got by substituting n is equal to 1. So highest for n is equal to, you can have other values for that one. Okay. So for similarly, you can write eigenvalues and corresponding eigenfunctions, the energy of this eigenvalue. For n is equal to 1, you can have phi is equal to 1, for energy is equal to E is equal to 1. For n is equal to 2, phi is equal to 2. Like that, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So you can have the motion of the particle. See how this motion of the particle you can have. For n is equal to 1. For n is equal to 2, you can have just like lambda, isn't it? So it is have like that one. N is equal to 3. And you can have a different motion of the particle. That means it represents as a wave nature, isn't it? So here it is found from the energy levels, that is E1, E2, E3 and so on. The energy levels of the electron are discrete, isn't it? Okay. So here, which are called energy levels are found to be continuous. This is most important, discrete and continuous. So this terminology may use in your exam point of view. They may ask in the objective type, isn't it? The energy are not nothing but discrete and continuous. You call it as. Okay. Now this is a normalization wave function. So later you can have this one. I'm not going to detail about that one. I'll send you the notes. Okay. So this is about the three-dimensional. See all of you, three-dimensional. So we have a x direction, y direction, and z direction, just like it as a cubic. Just it represents as a cubic, and you can have the four sides or infinity. The potential barriers. This is one potential barrier. This is one potential. This is one. Four sides you have a. In fact, inside you have an electron. So how the motion you can find that one. Same. That is the length of the potential box along x-axis, that is A. Along the y-axis, it is B. Along the z-axis, it is C. Just now we have L, isn't it? So energy of the particle, you can have that one. So you can see the three-dimensional. So this is about the, uh, uh, this is nothing but application, okay? Application of Schrodinger wave equation to a particle enclosed in a one-dimensional box. So directly they may ask, give the application of the Schrodinger time-independent equation, or describe the one particle in a one-dimensional box. Listen, you don't have three-dimensional. Don't go to three-dimensional. All you have only one-dimensional. So this is about the quantum mechanics, what you have. So I promise to have that. I'll send the notes to your CR. I forgot that one. So I'll give the sequence of notes in PDF format, right? And one also, I want to give some worksheet to solve the problems. Okay. So I'll decide when you have, but once I give the notes, that is study material. So go through that study material carefully, and I may ask the solve some numerical problems based on this given study material, right? So you can submit in within a stipulated time, isn't it? So by because you have some practice, isn't it? Based on these some formulas to remember until for the examinations. Okay, it's very clear, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. By today, I
Yes,
will
sir.
send the all your study material, isn't it? Okay, so don't bother about by today. I will do that one. So tomorrow, let me start the new chapter. That is, I think, what is the next chapter? What is the next unit? Gurtunda? What is the next?
Semiconductor physics, sir.
Physics. Right. Very good. It is more interesting. I think you are most relevant to you, isn't it? So tomorrow I start that one. So let us take the attendance. A few people, only 41 are present.